Toyin Ajayi Osakwe, and by the special grace of God, I am the President CEO of Foundation for Family Reformation, an NGO that is saddled with the responsibility to help you to train your 21st century child. If you are watching this video for the very first time, we are here to assist you and assisting you with knowledge. At this time, when the whole world is going out of control, a reasonable and a sensible parent want to do something different, and more importantly, differently. If you understand what I mean. To parent this 21st century child, you need knowledge. You need to be in tune with what is in vogue. You need to be aware of your environment. You need to know what is going on in the social media. You need how to be involved. Your analog will not fit in at this time. Your pattern of parenting that you know or that you are brought up with may not completely set you on high this time around. So, we are coming your way in this program that we called Prime Parents to exchange knowledge. Nobody has monopoly of knowledge when it comes to parenting. So that is why I will appreciate your comments in some of the things that I'll be saying, your contribution, and you can criticize. But as much as possible, let's keep it civil and mature. Now, before I go further, I want to tell us about our program that is coming on. We have it periodically, about the school that we operate somewhere in Ikeja, Lagos, Nigeria. That is our academy, Parents Academy, where we train parents. And for your information, we train for free. We train for free. We have facilitators from different walks of life, different fields of experience, who have topics that we have developed into a curriculum wherein they can educate us on different areas when it comes to child management, child upbringing. Okay, so we have topics like limiting the excesses of the social and the electronic media for the 21st century child. We have topics like peer pressure, we have juvenile delinquency, sexual and domestic violence at home, helping your children with academic challenges, home accidents, and many more, financial and home management, all those stuff. All this, when you put it together, you will understand that you need to impart your children, having you impact yourself, ready to be able to use this information. Okay, so our next class will be coming up sometimes in June. We had one, just concluded one in March this year. So another class, another batch, which is the 13th class, will be coming June 4th to July 2nd. You can book yourself a seat and be our guest. Now, the number to test your name and just your name, probably your name and address, is 09038 705023. 09038 705023. Just text book me a seat, and that we do. Okay, and then we pick it up from there. Now, let me quickly conclude in this presentation, my last video, where I introduced this topic called Introduction to Child Management and Development. And as you know, as I explained in that video, human beings are meant to be managed. And that is the problem we have in the world today. When Jesus told disciples, go and make disciples of all nations, he simply tells them, go and manage human beings. So when you see government of nations that are doing excellently well, it's just one thing there that is critical: human management. Even God is managing us. So when you manage and you manage well, you get wonderful results. And that is all about children upbringing. Okay. Let me just read to you, for those of you who did not see the other video. I said management is a purposive attitude or activities that involve set of principles relating to the function of planning, decision making, organizing, leading, motivating, and controlling resources towards attainment of a certain predetermined goals. So you have in your mind what you want to achieve, and then you go further to put in place everything that is needed in order to achieve that purpose. That is all. So when you bring that into child management, you will definitely see great and resounding results. And that's the meaning when the Bible says, train up a child in which he should go. There is a way every child should go. You as a parent must understand that way first. And to also let you understand that the way of child A will never and can never be the same way with child B, with child C, D, E, as many as your quiver can take. So you are not going to apply general principle or general approach. No, it won't work. That is why to those of us who have our quiver so full, you should also be ready to learn each ways. And when you know child A is this way, you apply it to that. Child B is this way, you applied to that. And then you see that when they grow, they will not depart. Why will they not depart? Because it has been predetermined by who created them. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Your ship is setting towards Poland from Nigeria. You need a compass. Poland is there, fixed. It will not be moved. But when your ship hits the highway or the high sea and there is no compass, then you may end up in Canada or South Africa, depending on how rough or how you miss your points or your line. So parents must understand this. There is a way that has been predetermined by God who created these children and give them to you as a gift or as a visitor in your house. Nobody owns a child. You can't own a child. As a matter of fact, the Bible says they are heritage of God. You can't own a child. They are gifts of life for humanity. So when you have your own portion, train them in such a way that they will be beneficial to humanity. So when they are beneficial to humanity, humanity will thank you. God himself will be grateful to you. But if you do otherwise, you will give account. All right. So I move ahead in that video to explain to us that you need to be an informed parent in order to be effective and efficient. You need to be an informed parent. Informed parent simply means you are ready to receive the right knowledge. You are open to knowledge. You are not going to be the type that will assume. And when I say open to knowledge, it's a conscious effort. You deliberately go out to get this knowledge. I just mentioned to you a program that's coming. People have been coming. Loads and loads of people have been coming for this course. So you will not sit down there and say the one that will be good will be good. The one that will not be good can never be good, according to one kind of African proverb. That is erroneous. That is terrible. That is evil. It's condemnable. You need to search for knowledge. You need to arm yourself with information. So when you do that, you become an informed parent. And I now went ahead also to let you understand that being informed will not completely deliver. You need to be prime. Hence, what we call prime parent. Being prime simply means you now personally apply these things into your life and you put it forward. The child sees how you do things. He understands your ways. He understands your moods. He understands your behavior. He knows what you want. He knows your preferences. He knows what you don't want. He now easily copy you. Easily copy you. That's why we tell people you can't give what you don't have. And I keep on telling people everybody cannot be parents. That is the truth. Everybody can't be. So there are some people now that they are fathered a child, they have a child as a woman, as in they are mother to a child, but they can't parent that child because they don't have what it takes. So for the fact that you are able to give birth to a child, that's what I'm saying in a nutshell, does not mean you can be a parent. That's why in some other climes where things are working the way it should be, when you mismanage the child, the state will take that child away from you. You understand? And we have such here in Lagos State, at least to some extent. If you have those information about such kind of abuse, kind of mismanagement, then you risk that child being taken away from you. Okay. Now, I went further on that day that being prime should have some certain ingredients. You can see the way I'm building it. Okay? I said, being prime must possess some certain ingredients. And these ingredients include the following. Number one, I said, whatever you are transmitting to this child must be observable. It must be identifiable. It must be measurable. It must be reproducible. And it must be transferable. Like, what I've mentioned is a proof of science. In science, anything that is not observable, that is not identifiable, that is not measurable, or reproducible, or transferable, can't be scientifically proven. That is what differentiates science from voodoo or some kind of ideas that people believe today. That's why people who deal with science find it very difficult to believe God. But do not let me digress. Let's fix on what we are saying. But God is science, and science is God. It depends on your level of understanding. So what we are saying in terms of being prime is that you being prime, your work, your actions, whatever you are bringing to the table must be observable. It must be identifiable. It must be measurable. It must be reproducible. And it must be transferable. Now, I have one wonderful story here that I will use to illustrate these points. Okay? And it's so lovely that all these points can be exhibited in an occasion. So they are not separate. Okay? I have a book here that by the special grace of God I put together. I call it Parent Guide Illustrated. You can call on our office. You can, when you come for the program, or you can request for a copy through that number that I dropped. Okay? And I will read this story to you and I will explain each of those points out of this. All right? Now, let's see. Here we're going to talk about discipline. That is the subject here. Okay? Discipline. Discipline. Giving discipline to a child. So there is one man who was trying to explain a scenario to a friend about what the engagement he had with his daughter on a particular weekend. And I read it. It's a foreign story, but listen to it. It is the knowledge there that is important. Here, as I read, one evening, Rolf's friend's daughter, the guy is Rolf, his friend is the one explaining this story. Rolf's friend's daughter, or she's a teenager, asked her dad permission to watch a nighttime soap opera called Dynasty. Now, from that very first statement, you hear that the young lady asked for a permission. If you are there, you are listening to me. Do your children ask you permission to put on the television? As little as that. Because if at the age of 5, 6, your children have free hand within the house to do whatever they want at any time without permission, the day that child will be having a first affair or bringing a young man home or meeting a lady out, you will not be carried along. This young woman asked for a permission. Now hear it. Although Ross' friend has never seen the program, the father had not seen that program, but he knew of his reputation. Okay? So his friend said to the daughter, I don't think this is a type of program we ought to watch. The father, I have not seen it, but you have heard about the reputation. some of the things that features in that program. And he told the daughter, I don't really think we should watch this in our house. Probably based on their principles, on their moral codes. So that's another point. Do you have moral codes? Do you have things in your house that when your children sees, they will say, no, we ought not to do this. This is not part of what we do here. In my subsequent teaching and videos, we will expatiate on some of these things. Having a vision for your house, what you need to do, how to get everybody along and working together. Okay. The father told the young lady, I don't really think we ought to watch this. Okay? But Dad, all the kids at school are talking about it. Came the daughter's predictable reply. That is what the daughter said. Everybody is watching in their school. Please, Dad. Let's just try, you know. When you have built that relationship to that level, you become friendly with you. They become friendly with you. They can discuss with you. They can lobby you. And that's what the daughter is doing here. Okay? Shortly afterwards, the dad relented on the condition that he will view it with her. That is another point. The man says, all right, no problem, but I will be there. Building codes, moral codes, working by the rules, building rules, operating the rules, standing by the rules. I view it with you. Now listen. He was shocked at what he saw that night. The characters were involved in adultery, homosexuality, deceit, cheating, vanity, and greed. Ruff's friend felt he had dishonored God by allowing the program in his house, and he hoped that the incident would pass by and be forgotten. You know, sometimes we do some certain things, we misbehaved, and we know that we misbehaved. And our conscience begins to judge us. And all what you need to do is, well, I know I goofed. I know this ought not to happen, but please, let it pass. Let us pretend it never happened. And they parted ways. Now listen. But 1 week later, his daughters approached him with the same request. I'm building this story somewhere. Listen carefully. Now, to some of us, we may want to react instead of responding. Sometimes we need to respond, not react. This thing happened last week. This young woman is coming again to request. You expect a father who will come with brimstone and fire and begins to smoke from the mouth. Say that. Look at how he responded. Listen. His daughter approached him with the same request. Can we watch it one more time, Dad? Perhaps it will be better this time. I will give it one more chance, comes the father. That is a response, not a reaction. Okay? Had that thought. Of course, there was no improvement. And within a few minutes, the father stood up and said, honey, I cannot watch this program. Okay? Everything I stand for is being assaulted here. It violates my conscience. I'm going to another room. I just pray the Lord will speak to you about this. Now, listen. The father left. This is the point where I begin to explain to you how the man missed it. I believe this man should have been more assertive earlier. But sometimes this tender loving, we don't want to offend them. We don't want to do anything that will crush their emotions. Then, where we ought to have act and stay on our words, we treat the matter with kid gloves. Now, see something. Before he could turn away, his daughter said something. Dad, I thought that you would say this last week. Oh. You see how children test every boundary that is set for them. When you set a boundary, keep the boundary. But because this man has been able to put so much into this young woman, is giving back to him the residue, the remains, the deposits that is in her. I thought you will say this last week. I thought you will be fair, you will be firmer last week. I have just been waiting for you to take a stand. That is what she said. I really don't care about this program. That is what she said. Now, let's start from our very first point, observable. This child has been observing the father more than watching the program. But along the line, this man did not realize this. He had been observing the father, and he knows what this man stands for. From the beginning, he knows this man is trying to please her by violating all his own principles. So as parents, we should be very careful. We shouldn't allow ourselves to be pushed, to be blackmailed emotionally, and in the process, we violate our principles. That is about observable. Don't let me take so much of our time. So I don't really mean to take this for so far. I quickly go to the next point, which is identifiable. Now, I said, more than just observing us, these children, they must be able to identify core ingredient of disciplinary lifestyle. Now, back to the story. The daughter said, I thought you would have said this last week. This simply means the daughter could already see in the father some certain values. But how well did he cherish them is the question. At this point, the daughter is not just observing. She also take note that she could also identify things that the father would prefer. I've mentioned that earlier. She said she can clearly tell anybody anywhere what her father does, what he may do in certain circumstances, and what he may not do in certain circumstances. What I'm saying is that they can identify, they can predict you because they have been able to identify it in you. That is identifiable, measurable. Here, we are talking about the extent of your sustainability. How long can you hold what you are sustaining? Do you say A in the morning and say B in the evening? Do you confuse the child? Do mommy say go and daddy say come? Can your disciplinary measure be sustained? And when it is sustained, that's when we talk about how well it could be measured. Then I went ahead to talk about it being reproducible. Now it is now reproduced in the child. The child behave the way you behave. Back to this story. This child now will know that even when she's alone in that house, she will not even care to go and put on that television because she wants to watch that. Because already it is in her and well reproduced in her that program should not be watched in the house. Then I went ahead to say transferable. She will now be the one to go to school and tell them that, folks, this is pure trash. We don't do this in my house. And I will also let you also know that you copy the same. This is what being prime is all about. And quickly, to round up this video, what are the prerequisites, the qualities that is required? Okay? And I will just run through them and I will stop. Number one, accountability. Okay? To be responsible for your decisions and actions and expected to explain them when it's being asked of you. Accountability. You will be accountable for these children. The next one I have here is availability. A state of always being there for your family. Okay? You may not be there 24 hours, but even when you are not physically present, you put things in place that one can say that you are provided. Availability. The next one is closer to it, accessibility. The point is this: you may be available and you may not be accessible. I have fathers that are in the house. Is your dad home? Yes, comes the response. Can we speak to him? I don't know. I have not seen him the last 6 hours. So when you are available and you are not accessible, it means zero. It means zero. So it goes hand in hand. Even there are some times that you may not even be available physically, but you are still accessible. You can pick our calls, pick a phone and call you, ask for your opinions, ask for directions on issues. You can give order from wherever you are. You are fully in touch. So as parents, are you available? Are you accessible? Then I talk about being sensitive. Sensitivity. I say this is the ability to understand other people's feelings and putting it in its right perspective. The child is in the house or just coming in from the school, looking dull, just as cheerful, and you just walk past. A whole lot of this has caused great damage in families and in homes. When parents are not sensitive to what is going on, what is happening, they have something they want to say, they just need your attention, but you are not just giving it, neither are you perceiving. So when you see chaos in the world, see children misbehaving or doing some very horrible or terrible things that we see around us, all these put together are where our pots have been leaking. Then I talk about tolerance, the ability to willingly accept other people's opinion and their behavior, even sometimes you are not agreeing with, and yet you curtail it and then you come out stronger. Tolerance. We have families where we have multiple sources. What I mean by multiple sources is that a man has children from different women, and woman A does not want to see the child of woman B. Now, circumstance must have caused this to happen, and sometimes people deliberately go into it. But the point is that the children are now available, they are now here, and they must be sorted. That's why this issue when it comes to polygamy and these people talk about, see, how they eventually enact it is a different issue. But now that the situation is on ground, we must deal with it so that the world will not be a horrible place. I will quickly take you to the story of Hagar and Sarah. Sarah was the one that brought Hagar. It is the same Sarah that says Hagar should leave. The man in between, Abraham, who is the friend of God, talked to his friend, which is God now. And God said, go and listen to your wife. The point is, Ishmael is available. Isaac is available. The situation on ground is what must be attended to. How do we sort things out in such a way that no child will be wayward? Because they have already given back to them. You will now recount that the angel of the Lord now went to meet Hagar in the wilderness, comfort her, and speak to her of great future about the child. That is the way it should be. None of that has happened. You should go and kill the other people. They are not the one that's supposed to be here. This is one that's supposed to be here. That is not what God wants. Whether it's a mistake, whether it is by omission or by commission, the point is that we have a situation on ground. That is why the same scripture tells us that follow peace with all men and holiness, in which no man shall see the Lord. When you breach that, you won't see God. Talk about you are the first wife, you are the one, the legitimate, you are the one that's supposed to be there till tomorrow. When you break that rule of not pursuing peace, God will be far from you. That is the truth. The situation has happened. How do we move from there so that there will be peace? And that's why I said sensitivity, tolerance. That's why I brought that one in. So I went ahead to talk about discipline. I've spoken about discipline. Discipline is a whole topic on its own. I talk about emotional maturity, which is also part of what I've spoken about. Psychological stability is also part of what I was talking about. And above all, spiritual maturity. As a parent that wants to advance, push your children towards God, irrespective of the circumstance or the situation. Push them towards God. Do all that you can to make sure that no child is left behind until they are fixed into their Creator. At that point, you will have the praise of God. I will stop here, and I want to remind you again about our program that is coming in June, by special grace of God, 4th of June to July 2nd. It's 5 weekends, 5 Saturdays, starting by 9 a.m. Okay, and we don't wait. When only one person is sitting, we start. Okay, that is what we live by. Those are our rules, those are our codes here. And when you book yourself a seat and you are with us, I can assure you can never regret being in any of those classes. It's packed, it's filled with knowledge, practical experience from parents. You know, it's a class, so we have people from different religions even coming in. Everybody wants to talk about what they have experienced and how they have been able to come out of their challenges. So it's usually very exciting and lovely. My name is Dr. Tonya Giles Akwe, and I want to say thank you for being here, and God bless you.